There you are, reaching for it again. That quick little hit, the notification, the reward, the tiny rush that tells your brain it's done something good. You didn't even notice you did it, did you? That's the beautiful part. You never do. Here's what I find endlessly fascinating about you. You were given a brain capable of building cathedrals, composing symphonies, imagining entire futures that haven't existed yet. And what do you use it for? You use it to check, to refresh, to click and scroll and consume and click again. Not because you want to, because you can't stop. No, actually, let me put that differently. You can stop. You just never decide to. There's a war happening inside your skull right now. Has been for years. One side wants what feels good now, the dopamine, the shortcut, the instant result. The other side, the quiet one, the patient one, knows what you could actually become if you just wait. But the quiet side loses. Every single morning, before you've even had breakfast. Batman vs. be. I knew a man once, extremely disciplined man, very committed to his cause, who would wait in the dark for hours, sometimes the entire night, just to act on exactly the right moment. And yet, when it came to asking for what he actually needed, to saying it out loud, he never could. The patience was impeccable. The self-awareness, considerably less so. You think your problem is laziness. It isn't. Your problem is something far more interesting and far more difficult to fix. Let me tell you what's actually happening. Your brain, the one you're so proud of, has a flaw built into its architecture, not a bug, technically. It was designed for a world that no longer exists, a world where waiting meant dying, where the animal that hesitated didn't survive. So your brain learned to want things immediately, to distrust delay, to treat patience as danger. Evolution handed you this wiring, and then someone invented the smartphone, and now you have a prehistoric nervous system trying to navigate a world engineered specifically to exploit it. Every app on your phone was built by people who understood this better than you do. Every notification, every red dot, every little ping, that's not an accident. That's architecture. That's the deliberate exploitation of the same reward circuitry that once kept your ancestors alive. They didn't make those features to help you. They made them to keep you returning. There's a difference, a significant one. And here you are, thinking you have a discipline problem. You don't. You have an environment problem wearing a discipline problem's clothes. The cost of this, compounding. Every time you choose the quick hit over the difficult investment, you're not just losing that 1 hour. You're training your brain to prefer the quick hit next time, too. You are, with every small surrender, becoming someone more likely to surrender again. The science on this is not subtle. Now, stop. You are not weak. You are conditioned. That distinction matters more than you currently appreciate. Weak implies a character flaw, something you should be ashamed of, something that makes you less than the person next to you who seems to have it together. Conditioned means something entirely different. It means a system operated on you repeatedly over years and produced predictable results. It means the output is logical. It means, and this is the part most people never get to, it means the output can change. The behavior you're watching in yourself isn't a personality, it's a pattern. And patterns, unlike personalities, can be interrupted. Here's what else changes when you see it this way. The people around you who seem to judge your inability to focus, your tendency to chase short returns, your restlessness, they are not evidence that you are broken. They are evidence that they are either more conditioned than you in a different direction, or they are performing discipline for the same reason you perform everything else. For an audience. Batman vs. be. I've observed at considerable personal proximity someone who had trained themselves into extraordinary self-control. Remarkable, genuinely. Never wavered, never bent. Until you looked at what they were actually avoiding with all that control. The discipline was real. What it was protecting them from was considerably more revealing. The craving for immediacy isn't your enemy, it's information. It's telling you that your reward system is underdeveloped for long-horizon thinking. That's a training problem, not a verdict. So, what do you actually do with this? 4 things, not 10. 4. First, you restructure the reward, not the goal. Your brain needs feedback. It does not respond well to "I'll feel good in 5 years." That's too far, too abstract, too silent. So you stop waiting for the final destination to feel like victory, and you build smaller checkpoints that feel like winning along the way. You are not eliminating the dopamine system. You are rerouting it. Every milestone acknowledged deliberately. Every week of consistency marked. You make the long game feel like a series of short games, because that is, neurologically, what your brain can work with. Second, you change the environment before you try to change yourself. Willpower is a finite resource. Everyone who's ever studied it knows this. Stop relying on it. Remove the friction between you and the difficult thing. Increase the friction between you and the easy thing. Your phone in a drawer. Your work on the screen before you open anything else. The book on the pillow. You are not stronger than your environment. Design the environment smarter than your impulses. Third, you make the delay visible. Abstract future rewards stay abstract. Write down what you are actually trading the next hour for. Not a vague sense of a better future. Something specific. Something with a face and a number and a date. Make the delayed reward as concrete as the immediate. One feels. The brain responds to specificity. It does not respond to aspiration. Fourth, you practice discomfort deliberately. Small doses. Sit with the urge to check without checking. Finish the task before you get the reward. Let a moment of boredom exist without immediately filling it. You are building a tolerance, the same way you build any tolerance. Exposure over time in controlled doses. The discomfort doesn't go away entirely. You simply become someone who can function inside it. None of this is complicated. Most of it you already knew. The question was never what to do. The question was whether you'd decide to do it before the cost became unignorable. Every significant thing that has ever been built was built by someone willing to be bored, willing to sit with the silence between actions, willing to not know for months or years whether it was working, willing to choose the version of themselves that didn't exist yet over the version that was comfortable right now. The world you live in was designed to make that choice harder than it has ever been in human history. It will continue to get harder. The systems optimizing for your attention are not going to become less sophisticated. They are going to become more sophisticated. And the gap between people who can delay and people who cannot is going to widen in exactly the direction you'd expect. So, the question isn't whether you understand this. You understand it. You understood it before this started. The question is quieter than that. It's the one you ask at the end of the day when nobody's watching, when there's no audience for the answer, when the performance is finally over and it's just you and what you actually did with the hours you were given. What did you choose? The answer, whatever it is already becoming who you are. That's not a threat. That's just how it works. Quietly, I find that endlessly amusing, and occasionally, just occasionally, something close to respect.